Hi, my name is Mike Moses. Welcome to our online curriculum from white belt all the way to black belt. Now this curriculum is called Personal Defense System, or also Mixed Martial Arts for the Street. Okay, and the system was not created by me personally. Okay, my former instructor, who owns Lynx Academy, Frank Cucci, SEAL Team 6, he started the basis of it, and I just added some cool stuff to it. But the concept of defense is something I never see a lot of instructors talk about. So this is why I call it personal defense system. Most systems I've seen out there are all about the offense. And what I want the students to think about is always trying to diffuse the situation and using your techniques and things you learn as a defensive situation first. If you have to escalate the force, then go offensive. But we should always be trying to think about getting out of the situation. So as martial artists, we always talk about respect. And even from day one, I teach the students about respect because this is what we're trying to do as martial artists. So back to the personal defense system. I never see a lot of systems talk about the force de-escalation or the escalation of force. An example would be, I'm in a road rage incident and I immediately go for a throat jab or an eye jab. I just escalated the force to practically a death match. Whereas I could just use a foot jab to get out of the situation and try to give this person a couple minutes or seconds to think about, do I really want to do this? And give myself space and time to actually diffuse the situation. So escalation of force and de-escalation of force, when I talk about the techniques, is what you'll see a lot in the personal defense system. So right now, I'm just going to teach an intro lesson. An intro lesson is probably the most important thing that you're going to learn. Okay, just like a baby crawling, they crawl, then they walk, but they always have that crawling down to a science. Okay, so even when I learn how to walk and I'm not too sure about it, I can always go back to my crawl. And my crawl is awesome. So I always have a base to fall back on. So we're going to teach you that crawl. And again, you're going to work on the crawl all the way up to the black belt. And the crawl is your stance and footwork. In the future, you're going to switch stance, but at first, you're going to pick the most effective stance for each individual. So let's just go over that. Which stance do I stand in? Okay, left side or right side? They call it southpaw. I like to call the other side northpaw. Okay, so how do I figure that part out? So before we talk about hands up, fists, this and that, let's talk about your base and your stance. One of the easiest ways to figure out which way you should stand, and most people right-handed will stand in that northpaw stance, but it's not always the case. One way you can figure it out is if I tell you to race somebody. Okay, so I say, get ready to race. And I'll line up with the student. Let's race to the wall. And I go, get ready, get set. And then I'll say, stop. And whatever foot they put back, that's going to be the stance. Okay, so southpaw would look like left leg back, right leg forward. Northpaw would look like this. Right leg back, left leg forward. So how do I get in this stance? I figure out, number one, which stance I'm going to be in, left or right. Secondly, I want to just take a nice step forward once I figure that out. And then look at this leg. The leg, that's the sprinter leg, just comes out about 3 inches. Okay, so now I got a good base. Now this will be at 12 o'clock. If this was a clock, this is going to move to 1:30. Okay, so I want my body more at an angle than here. I don't want it shoulders flat. I want it at an angle. So this is your base and your stance right here. So if you look, the weight is, the back foot is off the deck, but so is the front foot. So the weight is right here. Okay. Now the hands. The hands are going to come up, but let's talk about how to make a fist. Okay, so a lot of people don't talk about how to make a fist. I want to grab where those calluses are formed right here, just like this. And if you work behind a desk, this is where your calluses form, just like this. Okay, and now your thumb does this. Not this, right here. Okay, and what I always like the students to do is just go ahead and hit your palm like this, because you want to always hit with the first 2 knuckles and see how that feels. If you do it, you see a lot of people just do it like this with a hole. I want you to practice hitting just with the first two. Okay, the first two knuckles is backed up behind this huge bone. These are called floating knuckles. And if you don't punch correctly, you can break those. Also, one way to get better at that is do all your push-ups on your two knuckles here, and it makes you keep your structure, okay? So start doing knuckle push-ups. Now, back to how my hands go. So back to your stance, sprinter leg back here, weight right in the center, 130. Now, we already figured out how to make this and this. Now, my hands, I want to come right here where the temples are, okay? And then right here. Okay, so that's my temple, about 3 inches. And I want to make sure my hands are not doing this, just like this, okay? So the hands are up just like this, the weight's in the center, and we're going to talk about how to move from here, okay? So that would be your stance, your structure, your foundation, your fist, and I think that's about it. I'm going to bring Melissa out here, and I'm going to go over an intro lesson with her, and you guys can follow along. So let's cut it there. Come on out here, Melissa. Let's go over the intro lesson real quick. So our intro lesson to you start with just basic respect, and then I'm going to ask her to get in her good kick stance. Remember, left leg comes forward. You can keep your hands up, but I want your main focus on the footwork. So if you're getting a little confused, just even relax hands. But your hands are up, okay, like we said, and the weight is in the center. Your sprinter leg's in the back, and again, your belt right here, center, or belly button is at 130. Yeah, perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and go over the basic footwork. So one of the very first things would be is going forwards and backwards. So where you step 6 inches moving forward, the back leg wants to follow. If you do 7 or 8 or 10 inches, same thing. Exactly. Back leg follows. Same way going backwards. Okay, so step slide back, step slide back. Good. Now, confusing one is not the left, step and slide left, because that is pretty simple. The confusing one's going to be step and slide right. The back leg moves first, and then the front leg follows. If you move the front leg first, your legs get a little twisted. Exactly. Then you're off balance. So one more time, let's go step and slide left, and step and slide right. Perfect. Now, here's the confusing thing as well, is how do I pivot and turn? Now, this is going to be one of the most important things you're going to learn, because you generate all your power with your pivots. Now, when I taught this before, I see people sometimes try to pivot on the heel. We never do that, okay? And the second thing, if you're trying to turn and your foot's flat, it's almost impossible. You'll hurt your knee. So the pivot is the ball of the front foot. We're going to go ahead and go quarter turn left. Exactly. Quarter turn left. Nice. Quarter turn left. And the back leg's following. And quarter turn left. Good. And we'll also do that going right. Quarter turn right. And what I'm saying is quarter turns. Quarter turn right. Quarter turn right. And quarter turn right. Good. Now, last one we'll go over is called the front to back. She just does that quick, front to back, like you're moving in and then back out. And same thing moving backwards. Back to front. Good. And so this would be the basics of the footwork. Whether you're white to black, we come in, we warm up with that. So if you're in the class, we would go step and slide forward, step and slide forward. Exactly. Step and slide back, step and slide back, step and slide left, step and slide right, double left. Good. Double right. Nice. Perfect. Quarter turn left, and quarter turn left, quarter turn left, quarter turn left. Me as an instructor, all I'm watching is just her basic, see how her feet are moving, see if they're staying in line. If they get out of shape, I'll correct her. Quarter turn right, quarter turn right, quarter turn right, quarter turn right. Nice. And last one will be front to back, front to back, back to front. Good. And one thing that I would want you guys to focus on is not using your arms to move your legs. So when she does front to back, her arms stay exactly where they're at. Back to front, and that good kick stance and hands are up. And that would be the basic of how to move, which once again is the most important thing you're going to learn because it's the foundation. It's our crawling. If you have a good base and good movement, it's very easy to build the rest of it on top.